Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvolt, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gaffer, David Wayne Foster, Daz Studio 68, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik 86, Jaronism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Renee, Rob H, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Herkins. Is that a new one? UK Diamond 33, new Patreon. Thank you very much for supporting me on Patreon, UK Diamond 33. Pleasure to have you. And also Windrider. So a massive shout out of appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we do have a few people in both Discord and G Plus panels, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for the first live show.
And they just want to gish gallop all over the place.
Hey, good morning, Sleeping Warrior.
Weird.
Hey Anthony, how come you're in Discord?
Because I can't get into Hangouts on my phone.
Oh, right, fair enough.
Is chocolate here yet?
Not yet.
I'm just going to get my Nathan fix for the day, and then I'm going to go and take the dog down to the vets for his, hopefully, his clean bill of health. Woo!
Cool. Very good.
Is the telly too loud in the background?
Yes.
Possible.
Generally, you should be on mute
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah.
I'll turn it down a bit.
Yes, please.
What do you watch that rubbish for, anyways?
To be honest, mate, I don't watch anything on TV. I'm sat here under duress because we're away on holiday, but we're in the middle of a storm. So there's not a lot to do because you can't go out anywhere. My computer's not working, and I have to watch TV. It's murder.
Oh, you are on vacation, I guess. Wouldn't you normally do?
Well, I would if I had my
Bummer.
PC working. My PC's decided to pack in. I don't know why. I'll take it home and strip it down and work out what's wrong with it.
You're going to have to keep yourself on mute when you're not talking, Anthony, because all we can hear is your TV, and it's going to ruin the Discord server chat today if your mic's not closed. Thank you.
She's given me permission to mute it. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Looks like Buster 2 is trying to speak, or his mic is on.
Hey, Buster, can you hear us? There we go. Hello. See that you're trying to speak, but nothing's coming out, so you've got a duff mic, Buster.
That sounds
It's
like a
roboting
bandit.
for me.
It's what, sorry?
bandit.
You can hear him.
Yes, he came in and said, sorry, he left his mic open.
Oh, could be me. I'm going to leave the hangout and come back.
Yeah, I heard the guy roboting for a bit at first, and then
It
he
could be
came
me.
through for a second, then he just left.
I've restarted anyway. Refreshed the Discord after leaving and rejoining.
Good morning, all.
Hey, 10th
That's
fan.
cool. That can only help matters.
Morning,
doing?
fan.
Hey, Ratchus.
Hey, Tim. How's it going?
Good, good.
Hey, 10th, did the Atletico Madrid beat Liverpool last night 1-0 in the first leg?
Yeah, I saw the score. I didn't get to see the game. I was in remorse a little bit seeing the score.
Yeah, the next leg, next week, back at Anfield. You watch, it's going to be another fantastic Anfield night.
Yep, I agree.
You gonna go?
Taking the dog down to the vet today, 10th. Hopefully he's going to be getting his clean bill of health after being diagnosed with a terminal condition. Hopefully the vet's going to be curious as to how.
Oh, you bet the vet's going to be curious.
I hope so.
Hey, Brian.
Good day.
Yeah, thumbs up for Mickey.
Yeah, he's been chasing everything the last couple of days. He saw a cat this morning. He fucked off at like 100 miles an hour chasing this cat up and over this thing, out of sight, couldn't see him. Like, where have you gone?
Wow.
Went looking for him, couldn't find him. Went looking for him more, couldn't find him. Started running up and down looking for him, couldn't find him. Had to go and get the missus out of bed, come and find him because I can't find him. Where is he? Don't know where he's gone. He's been chasing this cat and this cat's disappeared and Mickey's gone after it. Anyway, found him in the end, but I didn't know whether he'd gone down a hole or what. Something had gone wrong. I couldn't see where he was, but just the fact that he's chasing a cat, he feels healthy enough to chase a cat is just fantastic.
That's great. You're going to have to put a CBD formula for ballers. They've lost their geometric horizon. They're going to need help finding it.
Yeah, what we need to do is, every time they call refraction for why the horizons behind the oil platforms, instead of when they call it refraction, we should correct them and call it cognitive refraction because that's the only place it exists.
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, I got both praise and criticism yesterday from Quantum Eraser for this because I draw close to the argument at that point. Quantum Eraser likes to drag them around by their short hairs and point out that they don't understand what refraction actually is, ask them what the 5 effects are, and like with JLB, the response is something along the lines of 5 effects? Or something like that. Anyway, I prefer to, at the point that they say the horizon is refracted, do what I did with Timmy and say, so the horizon is not geometric then? And as soon as they say, yeah, refracted, obviously, not geometric anymore, well, welcome to Flat Earth. Your model requires a geometric horizon. As soon as you refract the horizon, it's not the geometric horizon and we don't have 2 of them. You okay, Flatzoid?
he fell off the horizon.
Yeah. We always have this dilemma, don't we? Because like some topics are worth arguing a toss about. You like to argue Coriolis. I can't stand it. For me, I apply what you just said, which is like, well, if the Earth's not Coriolis only applies to the Earth if the Earth is turning. Prove that the Earth's turning first, then we can argue about Coriolis.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Which is like what you're saying now about,
Lazy.
I just don't. It gets so convoluted over it.
I hate Coriolis.
The inertial reference
Just to correct you, I hate Coriolis. It's my least favourite subject of all of them. By a mile. I hate the subject. The fact that I ended up being the poster child for debunking Coriolis based on Bob Nodell's assertion that he'd proven Earth turn with Coriolis is neither here nor there. That was done out of necessity, not out of love for the subject. Far from it. I could do without Coriolis, I can tell you that for nothing. I don't like arguing about Coriolis. Far from it.
Yeah, even I try to stay away from it these
But
days.
on the other hand, when it comes to gravity, I quite like arguing over.
I know you like
Einstein
arguing about gravity, and you like to compare and contrast me arguing Coriolis because you can't be asked, like I like arguing it, where you can't be asked and just like arguing gravity. I know what you're doing.
All right, look,
And
I
like
admit,
that,
if you go back to the past shows, I was the one who liked Coriolis, so I'll take it.
And I'll take the
I know,
guess.
but
for
the
sure.
beauty of it is now we can work out where is the point where Nathan decides to take on the argument or ignores it and says, nope, you're dead at the start. And where is that point where I'll like to do it on gravity or whatever, but what now we see these junction points. It's like quite easy to get your way through them when you realize that you don't even have to have the argument. It's like with gravity. If you don't want to argue about gravity, it stops with the definition of gravity. It's the effect of the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass. Well, if you don't want to have the conversation about gravity, you spit that back to them and it stops. Or they try and fight it for a bit longer, but it generally stops because their own definition is nonsense. But if you want to argue about it, then great, argue about it. But we have the choice. What depends on what kind of mood we're in.
Well, the beautiful thing about the black swan is they need a sphere for their gravity argument. I mean, that's the only reason they fight for gravity. You know, it keeps the oceans and everything else down low, right? So
No,
if there's no sphere,
no, that's not what gravity does. But anyway,
no, I'm not saying that's what it does.
Did
I'm
you
saying
see? Did you see?
hold on, Anthony. Hold on, Anthony. I ruined his point. I'm really sorry, 10th man. Carry on.
What? No, I was saying that most people, when you talk to them, hey, if we're on the globe, how are the oceans not spinning off? Gravity, gravity, gravity. Okay. Well, if we're on the globe is the whole premise. Okay, well, if we're not on the globe, they're not going to be arguing gravity.
Yeah. Sorry, Sleeping Warrior. It's just I need to give you some kudos, right? An apology, borderline apology, because I've argued with you that there is no necessity to have this juxtaposition between the vacuum of the sky and gravity. It doesn't correlate. There is no association in the literal definitions for gravity. So it's an unnecessary road that you don't need to wander down. In technical terms, I'm correct. I'm not going to deny that, right? That still holds true. However, Mark Sargent has now educated me, and it's essentially your argument. Your argument being, doesn't matter what the actual narrative or the quote-unquote science, which it isn't, for gravity is, your common man thinks the oceans are being held with gravity and the air we breathe is being held by gravity. Now, to me, that's a dipshit misunderstanding about what gravity is, and the fact that the common man thinks it means he needs to be told what gravity is so we can debunk what the actual gravity is, because that's the current science, quote-unquote science, it's actually pseudoscience. But nevertheless, that's a different subject. My point being that you were right. I can't get away from the fact that your average Joe, wrong though he might be, thinks gravity's holding the oceans on.
Yeah, you talk to me.
Yeah, I'm saying you were right and I was wrong when you were like, well, I always use gravity in the argument for the vacuum of the sky because your average Joe thinks gravity's holding the holding the air away from the sky vacuum. Well, I was like, yeah. I've always disagreed and said, well, that's just fundamentally wrong. So why are you arguing about it? Whereas in reality, average Joe does think that. And the reason 10th Man's rattled off what he's just rattled off is because that's average Joe's opinion on the world. So, kudos to Mark Sargent. He describes a chamber above you with a cork. So, the upstairs room, if you like, is a vacuum chamber and the downstairs room is you with a cork to the vacuum chamber. If you pull the cork, all the air rushes into the vacuum chamber. Now, compare that to a sky vacuum. Well, that in itself would be an argument I could easily paraphrase, but he started it in the summary when he was on TV. His summary for the argument he was going to put forward was gravity versus the vacuum of the sky. In other words, he's got it in there. I think it's unnecessary, but he's got it in there for a reason, right? And it's the reason you've given me and I've fought against. So you were right, I was wrong, even though I'm technically correct.
I know, but that's because it's convoluted. They've got the whole argument convoluted on purpose to confuse. And you got like we've always said, you got to pick your way through it carefully, avoiding the mines, because sooner or later, you might make a mistake or two along the way, but eventually you get through the minefield and you realise how to then dodge the mines. And that's what you have to do with a lot of the topics. Gravity is one of the best ones. Coriolis is another one. There's a few of them that are important that we argue, like perspective and the curvature observations at horizons. You've got to pick your way through how the curve calcs are wrong, and it takes time. You get things wrong along the way, but you learn in the long term things like, well, perspective's not accounted for in the curve calcs. We knew it were wrong. We just didn't work out why, and it took a while. But in the end, we got through it, and now we understand that perspective isn't accounted for. It's all done orthographically. And that once you realise that, it's like you can just laugh at them when they bring this stuff, and it's really satisfying. But it's even better when people go forth and argue the arguing points that we've been making, and do it with us, not for us, but instead of us doing it. So, for example, with the Black Swan, everyone's getting it now on our side. And even if you disagree with it, you can still see the point. I think people realise the point that's being made. Well, that only comes around because people have been out there for weeks and weeks and getting things wrong and learning from it and getting things wrong again. And then eventually we end up with a polished swan. And that's what we end up having. And it's really nice to see them ramming it down ballers' throats because it's satisfying that people are getting the message, and it's satisfying watching the ballers just weasel the way around topics. They always weasel around topics. There's a picture in the Master B chat, Nathan, on the Ball Busters, and it's a message from somebody to fight the flat Earth, and the message reads as follows. It says, his name's Russell Hine. He says, "I'll bet you £1,000 you cannot produce a photo or footage that you've personally taken of the surface of a large body of water curving. Now who's the idiot cretin? #Black Swan." This is Fight the Flat Earth's response. Who cares if I've personally taken one or not? There are plenty of them out there. And the Black Swan argument is dead. Refraction and the K value killed it. You're still the idiot. So Fight the Flat Earth's telling people that the Black Swan is dead. So what we need to do is cite that against him and just tell people that even though they're claiming it's dead, it isn't dead. These are the reasons why Fight the Flat Earth is lying. So make sure you talk about that when the show goes live, Nathan, because people on our side need to know how to deal with this. And there's no better way to do it than live.
No, sure. I think it's just wishful thinking. They're like, yeah, it's dead, it's been debunked. It was what Tim Osman opened with. So he's like, yeah, it's already been debunked anyway. What is the argument, Tim? I don't know. So my response to that in the comment would be just to immediately respond and go, what's the argument? Lay out for me. I've done it in response to many of the recent clips I've put out. People have come along and said words to that effect. Yeah, it's already been debunked. Okay, recite back the argument to me and I'll take your comment seriously. If you can't recite the argument to me, I don't care. Your opinion that it's a stupid argument when you don't understand it is irrelevant. And it's the same for the Flat Earth. I haven't heard him recite the argument, have you? What my point is, Anthony, I'm not going to get into an argument with him about refraction and explaining that you can't refract the horizon above the horizon by the definitions of refraction when you look at the 5 effects of it. It's non sequitur to assert that you can loom the horizon above the horizon. So it's not refraction. If you assert it's none of those effects, it's terrestrial refraction. Well, your terrestrial refraction's based on the R value and the geometric horizon it provides. And we only have one horizon. So you don't have a geometric horizon to base an R value to bend the light around to replace the horizon in a different position if you don't have the geometric horizon to base it on. So that's why they were all fighting for 2 horizons, because you've still got to have the geometric horizon. It's an absolute necessity for the globe assertion. Well, I'm not going to get into that argument with someone like Fight the Flat Earth unless I actually understand that he understands the argument. And he doesn't. I mean, I've absolutely no doubt whatsoever he doesn't even understand the argument.
And that's why I'm bringing it up so that it can be addressed in front of 300 people so that 300 people get the message. And that can be spat back in his face. Because if he's claiming this and he's claiming it as a debunk as though it's wishful thinking, like you said, well, let's just go back and show him how it's not debunked and how it is wishful thinking. Because these people are influencing morons that believe that things like gravity being a force is the current science. When we all know, of course, it is not. So let's not allow them to preach their gospel to their gullible, naive followers. Let's attack these things head on and say, nah, it's not debunked, mate. It can't be debunked, so that our side get the knowledge and get the weaponry to attack.
Well, they're losing already, Anthony. They've got 2 horizons.
But I know this, but we need to make sure that our lot on our side realise that they're losing, even if they think because if they're being told that it's debunked, right, half of them think, oh, maybe it has been debunked. Well, let's tell them it hasn't been debunked and that they're being lied to.
I've done a response video in advance of anybody who does these debunks because they're all using the same response. So the response video is called a refracted black swan horizon is not geometric. That's the name of my response video. And I've already posted it to Planner Walk. So Planner Walk comes out with the video and says, just his opener is, in case you didn't know already, the black swan's been debunked completely by loads of other people. Anyway, it's refraction. Moving on, space proves Earth's a sphere. That was his entire argument. So I just posted a link to a refracted black swan horizon is not geometric, and it goes through all of the arguments they can claim. The fact that if you're going to base a geometric refraction value to account for your word refraction, then you need the geometric horizon, and we don't have two. And if you're going to claim refraction and peg it to one of the actual 5 effects, none of them associate moving the horizon with respect to the horizon. So it's completely non sequitur if you try and do it with the photograph in front of you and describing actual atmospheric effects. If you do it with the maths in front of you, you need 2 horizons. So it's checkmate either way.
It's the same argument when they conflate, when they convolute the gravity argument. Because the minute you point out to them that gravity is not a force and it can't cause anything to do something, they immediately start arguing over apparent forces or pretend forces or virtual forces or whatever they want there, rather than accept the point. Well, they're doing the same thing with this, the apparent horizon thing. They're arguing for new terms for horizons or new terms for refraction.
You know, earlier,
don't actually exist.
You know, earlier when you were talking about what the calculator does and doesn't do, as in it does not account for perspective. When you next say that for whatever reason, can you strap on an extra line, which is the curve calculators don't account for perspective. They do not deal in apparent sizes. You just strap that sentence on.
Yeah.
Make sure it's made very crystal clear. And like me, I'm shivering with my window open. Make it as crystal clear as possible that the calculators do not deal with apparent anything.
I'll do that, but I think you might have to reassert it after I've made the point.
Sure. Yeah, as I say, ask them to direct you to the angular sizes, otherwise known as apparent sizes, in the calculator if they choose to disagree, as Zanuck did. Claimed that the apparent sizes were factored into the refracted R value based on geometry when using 7/6R, otherwise known as terrestrial or standard refraction.
Well, just be aware when you say that if somebody could come back to you with the Midwest one, you know, the Metabunk one, because in his new revised version of his calculator, he does actually put the angular sizes in, but he doesn't relate the results to the angular size. He puts them in by way of informative purposes only, like implying that they're not connected. They're there, but they're not connected to the results, and they're not part of the results, but they are there. So technically, they can argue, well, it does take into account angular size, but it doesn't apply the results that you get, the geometrical maths. It doesn't apply them against the angular size. It applies them still against the feet and inches rather than the angular size. So although it is there, it's not really there. So it's like Metabunk doesn't account for angular sizes, but you can think that it accounts for angular sizes.
Yeah, it's like having a car that's claimed to be supercharged, and you go to the garage and you see the car, and sat next to the car is a supercharger, and you go, supercharged? And you go, yeah, it comes with a supercharger. And you go, but it's not connected up to the car in any way, shape or form. It's not delivering any more pressure to the engine. It's not doing anything. And they go, no, it still comes with a supercharger though. Well, no, it doesn't. Yeah. It's not connected to the mathematics. It might be on the same web page. So what?
All in the details.
Nathan, I've got a picture in Master B if we can look at it based on refraction and the orthographic view.
Yeah, that's the same one I used in my video.
Yeah, okay, perfect. If Raj just could put it up for a minute. This is so nonsense, this whole argument, because the black swan kills everything, and this view that they have of the side-on view Muppet vision is even a joke. It's not even the scale. It's not even proper. And then the G and the H, you'll see in a minute. Someone's going to put that up.
It contradicts itself.
Totally.
Yeah. To get H, or whatever the donkey dick line is, with H at the end and O at the beginning, well, you first need to have the line between G and O to give you a tangent. In other words, you've got 2 horizons in this picture, G and H, and we do not have 2 horizons. The fact that they're going to claim that the one has come from the other means you first need the one. The first one being G, the geometric horizon that they don't have if they're claiming it's H. So you can't draw a tangent line to anything to extrapolate out the maths. The whole thing falls on its arse because you need the geometric horizon and they don't have it anymore. So yeah,
exactly.
Tangent lines is Flatsoid's point. He's hammered this home. He's even released a video about it recently.
Well, not only that,
you can basically relabel that picture tenth. Instead of having G and H, you could have ball earth and flat. And basically this that would be more understandable by everybody if the G and the H were ball earth and flat, because then they'd all understand it. Again, it's just convoluted to make it sound complicated.
Well, I know Flatzoid wants to say something. Go ahead, and then I want to say something.
I say, Righteous, you can put the next one on the Master B up as well. It's the definition of tangent.
All right. And what happened?
You want to read it, Flatzoid?
My mic's not too brilliant, so 13th man.
Yeah. Your mic has never been brilliant. Come on, get one. Can we get back to that picture?
I just want someone to read out what's on screen.
Oh, all right. In geometry, the tangent line, or simply tangent to a plane curve at a given point, is a straight line that just touches the curve at that point. Leibniz defined it as a line through a pair of infinitely close points on the curve. The word tangent comes from the Latin tangere, to touch.
Yeah, so to extrapolate out a curved line based on atmospheric refraction, otherwise known as terrestrial refraction or standard refraction, in the geometry, you'd first need to draw a tangent line to the physical geometric edge. So in their depiction, they've got both. The line with a dotted line, well, you don't have that line. You need that. It's based on R. It gives you G point based on R. That's your geometric horizon. And what's that you say? Well, we don't have one. That we'll base the maths on it and then ignore the fact that we don't have it.
We have, Nathan, I want your comment on this so I can do it right. In the video and the pictures of the two oil platforms there off Miramar Beach in Santa Barbara, based on this side-on view, where are those two oil platforms in relationship to the observer? In front of G, behind G, or behind H?
Muppet vision. None of them. You can't show the differential left to right in this representation. How the picture actually presents itself is absolutely nothing like this presentation can give you. Because you've got a horizon line which is drawn left to right on the picture. And you literally don't have one. Not only do we not have a left to right line, so let's just pull this up. So this is a horizon as you see it with your eyes when you're not in Muppet vision and you can't see the side of your own head. You get a straight line from the left-hand side of the image to the right-hand side of the image. In this picture, not only do we not have a horizon line running from left to right so it's comparable to the picture, we've got two horizons. One that's apparently giving us the other one by mathematics, even though it doesn't exist in any image. So we don't have a horizon at all in this picture, but we've got 2 points that they're saying one exists.
Well, I look at this, spot on, but now look at this picture here. Look at O. Look how the observer, how much above that observer with the dotted line that's going horizontally to the O, going straight out. And yet I got to look down. I never do this ever based on this image. I never have to point I'd be looking at the ground in front of me if I did what this thing showed. So this is not even to scale. But my point is you can't have two horizons. You must have a geometric horizon if we live on a sphere based on the radius of 3959. And in this picture, even as bad as it is, those oil platforms, would have to be in front of G, closer to the observer.
Yeah, the whole thing falls to pieces. It's a complete crock of crap now, as in totally untenable both mathematically and unreifiable. You can't suddenly turn what's on screen into a representation with a horizon, a single line from left to right on the picture. It's simply not possible.
As Rumpus would say, correct.
We do. We don't.
That is literally the funniest rump ever. We do. We don't.
Yeah, we do need a geometric horizon. We don't have one in reality, loosely translated.
Obfuscate,
Yes,
obfuscate.
We do require a geometric horizon. No, we don't. We don't have one in this image.
As long as everybody's confused by the time Rumpus finishes, he's done his job.
No, not in that instance. All he did was dig his hole nice and deep.
This is the reason why Rumpus can't go on camera. Speaking of going on camera, did you see what's his face? Kent Hovins discussing evolution or abiogenesis with Miles Elia Davis. Miles Elia Davis is actually on camera.
I didn't. We'll have to get to it in the live show.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Flatzoid, Sleeping Warrior, Paul Hall, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey. Hello.
Any evidence?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Enthusiastic lot today. Excellent stuff. Any evidence of a physical geometric edge capable of measurement?
No tangent, no.
No, but Nathan, there's been a claim. There's a dumb retard on the Ball Earth side that's made a claim. I'm going to read you a message or two. I'd like you to address it if you would. This is a comment on a community post belonging to Fight the Flat Earth, and it's a guy called Russell Hine. He says, I bet you £1,000 you can't produce a photo or footage that you have personally taken of the surface of a large body of water curving. Now, who's the idiot, cretin? Hashtag Black Swan. Fight the Flat Earth responds, Russell Hine, who cares if I've personally taken one? There are plenty of them out there, and the Black Swan is dead. Refraction and the K value killed it. You're still the idiot. So, Nathan, do me a favor. Talk directly to Fight the Flat Earth and tell him about how refraction and the K value has not killed the Black Swan, and that he's falsifying factual evidences contrary to his opinions when he claims that it has.
Okay, I said this in the pre-show. I would first, personally, although you're charging me with doing this, want to establish that he actually understands the formulation of the modus tollens argument. So I'd want to hear it back before I start arguing about the effects of refraction. So there's two avenues that you can take if you're going to claim refraction is accountable for this horizon way beyond the geometric certitude that there is a ball in their claim. So the first is to assert with the picture in front of you of the horizon and these oil platforms that it's a effect of refraction. So atmospheric refraction in the air, in the picture. Now, there is no way of massaging into the definition of any of the 5 effects of refraction the horizon moving with respect to the horizon. The closest that would resemble something that you could massage in this definition of the horizon moving with respect to the horizon is looming. But ultimately speaking, if you describe the horizon moving with respect to the horizon, it becomes a non sequitur fallacy. You cannot massage it into the definition. The other route is to use geometric refraction, otherwise known as terrestrial refraction or standard refraction. Well, if you're going to base bending light around the physical geometry of the sphere and utilize the mathematics of the physical geometry of the sphere and then place the horizon in a second location, you are then left with two horizons. A physical geometric horizon that you have extracted out the bending light at 7/6r. Big clue in the fact that the terrestrial refraction utilizes the geometry that's physical to begin with, and we don't have two horizons. So basing your mathematics on a geometric horizon we don't have to give you an apparent horizon being used redundantly by morons. All horizons are apparent by definition. So this second apparent position where the sky meets the ground is redundant, but they utilize it to invent a second position, and we don't have two horizons. So moving it with respect to the geometric horizon you no longer have is completely non sequitur and requires the geometry you don't have, because you don't have a geometric horizon. So when Timmy came on the show most recently, it was killed at this point, 20 seconds into him actually arguing the toss, after claiming he understood the argument and demonstrating unequivocally that he did not. He still got into the argument and conceded very quickly that the horizon in the Black Swan image wasn't geometric. A refracted horizon, you say, Fundy? Okay, well, we'll take that at face value. So not geometric, then? Well, the sphere model requires one. It requires we have a geometric horizon. It's the essence of your claim, the essence of a ball earth religion that has a physical sphere edge for a horizon. That's your claim. Earth has a physicality giving you a geometric horizon, and its restraints, once broken, will never be put back together again. It's not physical. That's why you're claiming it's apparent, in denial of your own religion. So it's essentially a concession on his part to claim that the horizon's apparent. He requires a geometric horizon, and we don't have two. Hopefully that'll address it enough for me to at least understand that should he address me in my comment section, I would first want a rendition of the argument before I even get into any arguments about his claim that the horizon's not geometric, actually refracted, unlike his model and its requirement for a geometric one. Welcome to Flat Earth would be my answer, Anthony. Hey, Arwin.
Hello. Yeah, we got you surrounded, the Globers are saying. We
Good
got you
morning.
surrounded by
I think
straw
Anthony
men.
wanted chocolate. Hey, chocolate. Hey, Anthony. Chocolate's here now.
Good morning.
No, I'll catch
Morning.
chocolate after the show. It's okay.
Fair enough.
So basically, in response to Fight the Flat Earth claiming that refraction and K values killed it, it hasn't, because you've got to understand the argument first. And the minute you argue that refraction has killed it, you actually kill your own model, because by arguing that, unfortunately, you're acknowledging that the geometric horizon is not actual or physical; it's perceived or apparent, and that kills your model, guys. So you haven't killed it; it's killed you, but you don't realize, or you're just lying to your audience for subs or money or whatever, because you're not telling the truth either way.
Speaking of subs and money, so Passaway Toe says, placing an order for a Marcus horizon? My pleasure. There's plenty to go around. As many horizons as you want to imagine, I can sell them to you for super chats. They're not real. They're just imaginary. But if you want a horizon, I've got them. Also, a shout out to Jose JG Gonzalez, Mind Warped, and was it Richard? I think it was Richard. My apologies for not shouting out your super chats on the last show. I'm really, really sorry, especially Mind Warped, who I've done it to before. It's like the third time. I'm so sorry. Anyway, shout out to all of you guys for super chatting yesterday. I'm sorry I didn't shout out your messages.
Good morning, Nathan.
Morning, Brenda. How are you?
Ready to get destroyed again?
Ready to be lit on fire, Mrs. Strawman?
You mean you came in ready to be destroyed again? Yeah, we accept that, Brenda. Hi,
Yeah.
how are you?
We got our torches ready, Strawman.
I've destroyed your argument every single time.
What a way to start a morning.
Well, we know you
Thank
haven't,
Uh,
so if it's just going to be a repetition, just don't even bother.
Well,
Brenda, what
how do you
kind of
explain-
greatness have you brought us this morning?
And she said she's already destroyed it, so it's just going to be a repetition of something that she hasn't destroyed it with. Claim of a second or a third horizon that we don't have.
Oh, you want to You want a different argument?
She
Brenda,
brought a
Brenda,
straw
do
man,
you-
but
do you-
she burned it before she could
wait.
show it.
Hold up. Today is what? Today's Wednesday. On today, Wednesday, do you have a geometrical physical horizon or do you not? Because apparently
Yeah,
you
of course
guys can't decide. So, which is it today?
Yes, we have a geometrical horizon. Of course.
No, we don't. It's been debunked with the Black Swan.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. It's been debunked.
You're the one claiming the geometrical horizon is what debunks the globe Earth. You don't know your own argument?
Yeah, I do know my own argument. What is the argument? Let's start it as it means to go on. Hold on. What is the full rendition of the argument, Brenda? You tell us.
I don't have it in front of me, but basically you're claiming that the geometric horizon is limited to 1.2 miles, especially when you're 1 foot off the water. The image apparently shows the horizon being in excess of 9 miles distant, and therefore that debunks the globe.
No, that's not the argument.
Well,
You
it's
don't
not
understand the argument.
precisely it, but in broad forms.
Well,
it
then
is.
you haven't given it then. So how can you have demolished it repeatedly already by your own claim? Lie, not true. You haven't. And now you can't give it us
Well, I have,
exactly.
but I understand, Nathan. But I have, but you indicated that you're bored of me debunking you time after time. Would you like a different?
You haven't debunked me ever.
Well, I know that's just an opinion. Yeah, you have your opinion. I have mine.
Okay.
That's the way the
Well, in
light.
this instance, I just want to hear the argument back as the argument's laid out before we move on. Given that you think you've debunked it already and you can't repeat it exactly as you put it, it's roughly what you think it is. Well, if you're roughly debunking what you think the argument is, I'm not interested in hearing your rough debunking of what you think the argument is. Sorry.
Your argument is that there is a logical inconsistency between us asserting that the geometric horizon should be approximately 1 point blah blah
That's wrong.
miles
That's wrong.
from
That's
an
wrong.
observer
That's
standing
wrong. Not should
5
be.
feet.
That's wrong. Stop talking.
I know it's not.
Stop talking! When I say that's wrong, I don't expect you to keep babbling. No, incorrect. Wrong. Don't want to hear any more babble. You don't know the argument, like most of you. You haven't got a vague clue how to repeat it. Now, it's not should be. Yeah? There's a must in there. And the must is based on physical geometry. So, if you don't know the argument, I'm not interested in hearing your claim you've already debunked it, and your new claim that you've got a new debunking for it. You don't know the argument. Clearly.
I do know the argument.
Well, give it us.
And you don't have to
Repeat it then.
Your claim is that the geometric horizon must be 1.22 miles from an observer 5 feet above sea level.
No, that's
Right.
wrong. Still wrong. No, that's
Well, what-
incorrect.
Can you start at the beginning?
For an observer 5 feet above the
No,
the
wrong
sea
again.
level.
Wrong. Doesn't start with an observer at a particular height. Incorrect.
It clearly does. Everything
Don't
starts
tell me
with
what
a-
it clearly does or doesn't do. I know the argument. I could repeat it verbatim without having it on screen, which it is.
Nathan, arguments aren't.
I don't want to hear about your
things.
obfuscation about telling me what an argument is or isn't. You either repeat it back to me so I know you understand it, or you don't. So far, you don't. So I'm not interested in what you think an argument is either. Little countermeasure fired off because you don't know the argument. Don't care what you think an argument is. I want to hear you repeat it.
That every horizon must be 1.2 miles from an
No!
from an
Wrong!
That's literally what it says.
It doesn't. It's got it underlined in bold, in red, with hash marks either side of it. So when you miss out no more than something denoting the geometric physical restraints of a sphere, and you leave it out, I'm going to say no, that's not repeating it. You can't read, let alone comprehend this argument.
How did you
Seems
prove
like
that
she's
every
quote
horizon
mining.
must
Shut
be
up!
no more than
You still
1.2?
haven't repeated the argument. I've told you I don't want to entertain the argument with you if you can't even read it, let alone know it and repeat it verbatim without having it on screen and failing to just repeat it after reading the words.
Yeah,
It's
she's
like you're a
quote mining
religious
it in plain
fundy.
sight.
Oh, here we go.
The
Ad hom time.
sacred
I'm a religious
script
fundy. Fuck off. Time for Brenda to leave. Religious fundy? I'm yelling at you to repeat the argument so we can actually have the argument, and she's calling me a religious fundy. No, I'm asking her to repeat a logical consistency that's on screen, and she can't even read it.
She was
Pathetic.
quote mining in plain sight. How about that?
Yeah, quote mining, cherry picking. Yeah, you're cherry picking the argument you want to have an argument with, ignoring the bit that actually explains the geometric physicality no more than a certain distance, because that's what the physicality restraints would dictate. Now, I know you want to ignore the fact that there's physical restraints to your claim of a physical sphere with a physical horizon and say suddenly it's apparent. Yeah, I appreciate you'd like to worm away from the actual argument. But the geometry, which is physical, has restraints. You claiming apparent because you don't repeat the argument is pathetic. Cherry-picking fundies.
Well,
I would have just liked to
technically-
if she.
Oh, sorry.
I would
want
just liked if she pointed.
You go.
Sorry, Arwen. I said I would have just liked if she would be able to point out the tangent.
Yeah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to have endless babble from people who don't understand the argument. No way. I'm not doing it anymore. If you come here, you need to know the argument, and you're going to tell me what the argument is before we have this discussion. You telling me that it's a stupid argument and then giving me a rough rendition of it that you think is the argument, that's not going to fly. I want to know that you know the argument before we banter about it.
But she debunked you, Nathan. Didn't
She hasn't
do?
debunked anything. She's never
No,
debunked anything
she
ever.
took a quote out of context. Quote mining.
Quote
It's technically
mining
not
and
really
cherry picking.
because-
All the stuff they accuse us of, Arwin. Yeah, cherry picking and quote mining, wasn't she, ladies and gentlemen? That's all they've got now. Deceit and cherry picking. Yeah? No, we're not going to tolerate it. They tell us we do it, even though we don't. We cite stuff. So, any actual evidence at all of any Earth curvature?
Not from Sandyland.
Hold on, Nathan. Puppy in Discord saying our Q is wrong. So what's
Q
wrong
is
with
wrong.
Q?
Can you pop it back up, Righteous?
No, I've got the Discord up which has it in it. So if you want to,
Or you,
look at
Paul. If you
Discord,
can just put the Modus Tollens argument back up on screen. It was you that had it before, I think.
Okay, hang on a second.
Every distance to horizon measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet.
Yeah, Puppy's saying that's wrong. Q is wrong.
That's just their geometry. It's basic geometry. Don't you understand geometry?
Do
He's a
you
bullshit
have enough
artist.
balls to
That
come
one.
and tell us what's wrong with it, or is he just going to sit in chat and hide?
Like, if he wants to tell us that the geometry of their sphere claim is wrong, then fine. I'll welcome him to Flat Earth. So the geometry they claim of a physical sphere we're supposed to be standing on is wrong, is it? It's just basic
Yeah, it
geometry.
If I could just like
Kind of sounds like Chris MCN when he said the geometric horizon is a straw man. That's pretty funny because
Yeah,
your model requires a
honestly,
geometric horizon. So how is that a straw man? Isn't that what you should be fighting for?
Well,
Yeah,
it's
kidding?
their straw man.
Yeah, it's their straw man, exactly. Yeah, their idea of a geometric horizon is a straw man because we don't have one.
Exactly. So it's their straw man to us, but now they're calling it a straw man. Did this argument make you guys realize that your geometric horizon is a straw man? Because now all of a sudden you're fighting for an apparent one, the redundant apparent horizon. This is ridiculous, guys.
Yeah, maybe we can calculate it
Let
with
me just
the...
say,
Go on, sorry.
let me just say what his position would be. He's arguing that it's a straw man because it doesn't account for the refracted horizon, and he wants to argue that. Well, Nathan stamps on that the minute you start arguing it's refracted. But if you don't stamp on it and you argue within their arguments, if you look on Metabunk, it tells you what the refracted horizon distance would be, and it rises from 1.2 miles to a solitary 1.3. It moves by a whole 1/10 of a mile. That's your model. The fact that you can calculate it using crazy ass refraction as per rumpus, that's not your model. That's real world refractive effects. But that's not your model. So your model is limited, geometrically limited. And the effects of changing that horizon in your model is a solitary 0.1 of a mile, and it doesn't account for the observation. Sorry,
this is a contradiction in terms. It's like when Ranty said there's an anomaly with the horizon. You don't have geometric anomalies. The physicality in geometry is fixed. You claiming it's refracted means it's not geometric anymore. The model requires a geometric horizon. Therein lies the close of the argument. Checkmate fundies, welcome to Flat Earth. Refracted, you say? No, your model requires a geometric horizon. And if you're going to refract the values based on Metabunk or any other curve calculator that's using the R value that gives you the geometric horizon, no, that's not going to succeed because you don't have one. They'll get it eventually. It's just going to take some time. It's game over. Checkmate. There are no new avenues to attack this argument with. Your defence is to say the horizon's not geometric. A concession in essence. But they don't realise that, which is why I like stamping on their balls.
Wait, so that 10th of a mile, did it make all the difference?
No. There is no refracted horizon. Yeah. That's a misnomer. It's an oxymoron.
Oh, that's the word I was looking for. Oxymoron.
In their calculator.
Exactly. Oxymoron. That's what I was looking for. Yeah.
Can
contradiction
somebody
in terms.
Please tell us what the 5 effects of refraction are, then apply it to horizon? I want to see it in context. Whoever brought that up, let's hear it.
Fight the Flat Earth in a comment. Also plan a walk.
Yeah. Refracted horizon.
Walk.
Friggin' break.
Yeah, but I've taken. I don't know if you heard my approach to Brenda earlier, Quantum Eraser. My attitude now is, you tell me what the argument is before we argue about it. I'm not going to argue about what you think the argument is or what you think I'm claiming with the argument. I don't care about any of that crap. I want to hear the argument repeated before I start getting into a tussle with somebody about what the argument does or doesn't prove in their opinion.
Exactly. I haven't heard it repeated in 4 weeks. Haven't heard it repeated yet.
Yeah, Brandon wanted to exclude the no more than part. And where Anthony's saying, well, we're not accounting for refraction. Well, no, we're talking about the physicality, the geometry. That's what geometry is. As soon as you're talking about refraction, well, you're not talking about geometry then, are you? Oh,
Let's not forget that you posted the argument on screen and Brenda still would not read it.
Like kryptonite. They need to cherry pick which bits of the argument are relevant to them. Cherry picking buggers, eh? Moving on. Any evidence of axial rotation?
Not of the Earth-based variety.
But difficult to prove something that's not true.
No, definitely not in reality, only in the globe replication model.
Sleeping Warriors of the opinion that I like arguing about Coriolis effect as opposed to it becoming a necessity through Netflix.
No, the other thing they could have done.
You love it, Nathan. Admit it. You love arguing about Coriolis.
No, I don't.
I love it.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, when I'm
You do it
screaming at
quite
people
well,
about, if I'm yelling at somebody through frustration. That's not because I actually enjoy getting frustrated with people's doublespeak on a given subject. The Black Swan argument I like, because every concession doesn't lead me into having to pick apart their bullshit that they've inserted. I can just welcome them to Flat Earth when they say it's refracted. It's much more fun. I do like the argument. It's so much more relaxing. Every rebuttal's a concession.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Somebody write
Yeah,
that
because
down.
if they say it's refracted, you could even.
Go on, Travis.
Was I stepping on somebody?
Nah, it's okay. Good, go ahead.
All right, my apologies. I was just going to say, yeah, if they say it's refracted, then you can always just turn to them and say, well, if it's refracted, then how could you ever try to prove what you claim you actually have? Right?
If what's refracted?
Horizon.
The horizon.
Horizon's not refracted.
No, I'm saying it's no longer something that you can count on. So they can't even they disprove their own position by leaning on refraction, even though it's untenable.
Or to put it another way, if it's refracted, it's not geometric, and they need a geometric one. Put it more concisely.
But why would they even need it? Because apparently now they're saying that we've never seen the geometric horizon. We would only see, as a matter of fact, they say we would only see it because if we didn't have an atmosphere.
That's what I needed yesterday as a lead-in line when I was like, I want to draw a cartoon on the horizon with a speech bubble saying, "You ain't seen me," because they're saying we've never seen it.
But if they've never seen it, how are they measuring for it? And why is there a measurement for it if you've never seen it?
That's
but
just
then other
trench
guys
talk.
are
That's just-
confused because they say boats are going over it.
No, it's a
Wait a
trench talk.
second. Define the geometrical horizon.
The visible line where the sky appears to be the ground.
The visible line, then
The visible.
It's an invisible visible boundary.
According to them, apparently, because some of them say they've never seen it. We've never seen it. It's not a thing. But apparently, before boats were going over something that's never been seen.
It
So
was
how does
just
that work?
said. It was just said. It was just said. List the 5 effects of refraction and try to apply it to the horizon. There is
Yes.
no refracted horizon. Period.
Correct. There's a few things you need for your Swan. Now, if you're a gamer, if you're leveling up your Swan, there's a couple of things you need. You need to be familiar with how the horizon is defined. There's plenty of different ways it is defined. They're all referencing the same thing, the geometric horizon. So that's the first thing you need in your arsenal. You need to know what the horizon is. It's fairly straightforward. The other thing you need to know is what refraction is. If they're going to go, refraction, you need to know what that is. And you can't loom the horizon above the horizon. It's completely non sequitur. It's an oxymoron to claim that you've got an anomaly with the horizon if it's geometric. And believe me, their horizon is geometric. They just don't have one anymore. It's game over, checkmate. No longer a physical geometric sphere Earth that we stood upon by way of this geometry they've foisted upon us for the last 5 years. It's game over. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Oh, I was on mute. Can I add something more to the
Man,
horizon?
I'm massaging in the housekeeping questions because it's nothing but Black Swan talk, but I'm good by that. I'm happy. Go ahead, Arwin.
Right. So I was thinking about this whole horizon false dichotomy situation with the geometric horizon and the actual apparent horizon. Funny, the actual apparent horizon. Right. It's starting to remind me a lot about their knowledge of gravity. It's like, yeah, it still has to be there, because of the whole model, but now they don't know anymore where it is. So it's kind of like taking away gravity being a force and actually officially being an effect and not a force. That also confuses the crap out of them. And now it's happened with the horizon. So it feels very much the same. and they're now fighting among one another. Like, is there a geometrical horizon, or is it actually apparent? And do we need a geometrical horizon or not? So there's going to be two camps arguing with one another whether there is even a necessity for a geometrical horizon or not.
Their subject matter expert says it's a thought experiment.
Yeah, when you boil down to the definition from the guy who's giving you terrestrial refraction, bending light with respect to the radius value that gives you a geometric horizon, he describes that horizon, the geometric horizon, something that's fairly well laid out in geometric terms. You can do the same maths with a basketball. But according to him, when you're referring to the Earth's horizon as a geometric horizon, that would be a thought experiment. So they're pissing in your faces. I just want to make this clear. They're pissing right in your face. The liars. This Andrew Thomas Young guy? Yeah, that's what he's doing. Because he's making it plain. The word model should make it plain, but we've tried that one and no one liked that. Us telling you you're reifying something into existence, that didn't sink in. Maybe the word thought experiment for the horizon you're all arguing the toss about now. Yeah, that's what they refer to it as. Now, you think it's got physical actuality. Sphere-shaped actuality based on geometry. What shock. Yeah? Well, it doesn't. It's just a thought experiment. That idea of the horizon being a physical edge of a sphere, yeah, it's just an idea. Just an idea in a model. That's all it is. Now, when you, the fundies who are potentially on the fringes of this or on the fence, suddenly go over that fence and think, I've been lied to. Yeah, you try and get an apology out of people like him. I told you. It's just a thought experiment. We made it plain. It's just a model. What do you think model meant? Not real. I mean, God, don't you know what a reification fallacy is? Now, would you like a spoonful of the new bullshit? Because I've got a big fat jar of it. Yum, yum, yum. What's that? You wanted an apology for a lie, didn't I make it clear? We said it was a thought experiment to reify the horizon into the physical edge of a sphere. Don't believe everything you watch on TV. These people aren't intellectuals. We were talking about philosophy. It's not our problem if you misinterpret what we say. We're not liars. You're just thick. You, fundy globehead who thinks it's actually a sphere based on geometry and thought experiments. Yeah, more fool you. Anyway, any scientific evidence of gravity, Arwin?
No. It also, Einstein left it off with being a conceptual medium-based effect for which there is no physical confirmed empirical evidence, yet all kinds of researchers conceptualize what gravity must be. Is it like this microparticle in another dimension or blah, 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 blah. But when it still comes down to actual evidence, scientific based, for the original conceptualization of gravity, none whatsoever.
Conceptual, like the horizon, like the geometric horizon, just a concept,
just a thought experiment,
aka thought experiment. That's cute. Tough man, I'm gonna need you to send me that one.
Thought experiment in a model. But obviously, you know, when you're thinking about that thought experiment, there are certain physical geometric considerations that need to be taken, according to Andrew Thomas Young. Fascinating the levels of doublespeak when you get to this pinnacle of geometric bullshit about a physical sphere Earth. Earth is obviously and observably flat. Your ideas and reifications of models are your own foolishness, letting you get the best of you because somebody's given you an idea, a way of thinking about things, a model. The fact that you reify it is really your problem. Not my problem, that's for sure. It hasn't been for about 5 years. Certainly not the problem of the people that might be considered liars if you actually realise that you're reifying a model. But they're not going to apologise. They might give you some more bullshit though. Talking of bullshit, any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of that reified sphere Earth?
Yeah, that's... I still think that the molten iron core is probably one of the most remote claims ever. It's like, oh well, although outer space things, of course, but like the molten iron core, it is so fictional. It literally, there's only paintings of it. You can't even fake some kind of photograph, or nobody would claim that because it is ridiculous. It's like, it is such a remote myth. The molten iron core. There's basically only paintings of it. That's it.
What about any viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Yeah. Well, they're certainly doing some science. So they think, as directed by their computer, they do stuff and think that is what science is, because it is all very technical and mathematical, and that's good enough for most, it seems.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
Nope.
Yeah, Nathan. Gravity is the container, Nathan.
What if I use two containers? Do they cancel each other out, and then I can think of it as no container?
That could work. Wait, no.
No, containers cannot be used as double negatives. No.
Can't use double negative. Oh man, then no.
It might work in math, though.
Anthony said
In
that.
math?
Anthony said that gravity can act as a container. So what's gravity?
I don't know, but it can act like a container, Nathan. It holds the atmosphere on. Just walk outside and smell, and you can breathe. And because we can do that, we must have gravity, Nathan, because otherwise it would all go into space.
Be a better Johnny Glowbed than that. Come on.
Right. One conceptual thing is holding the real thing from entering another conceptual thing. Get it?
But I can calculate it. I can calculate it using the Boltzmann formula.
Arwen's doing a better job than you currently, Sleeping Warrior. He's talking complete nonsense and running obfuscation and overtalk, so he's doing a better job as a baller currently.
Oh. No, but Nathan, I can calculate it. Arwen's just speculating.
Calculate what?
What?
The Boltzmann formula. I can calculate the gradual descent into space by the helium and the hydrogen, because we do lose loads of helium and hydrogen to space every day, and we can calculate it.
So if it's being lost to space, then it's not being contained. You said gravity is a container, and I'm asking what's gravity?
Well, it doesn't pick on hydrogen because that's more powerful than gravity. Obviously, duh.
What's gravity?
Gravity's a force, Nathan. We measure it in newtons.
No, it isn't.
It is. Simon Dan told me.
This is descending into the absurd. Some dude on YouTube told you it was a force. No, it isn't. It's the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time, as far as I was aware.
Yeah, but we don't like that explanation. We prefer the Newtonian one because the mass reduces
I
down
don't
to
care.
it in real world.
It's 100 years out of date. Who cares? It's not the current
I know, but
bullshit.
the math is the same, Nathan. It gives us the same answer.
Fine. The current bullshit is Einsteinian bullshit. And that bullshit says bendy space-time. A concept being bent. That's the end of the argument.
But
You
Nathan,
can't
we
bend a
can't do anything
concept.
with that.
I can't
We do
bend
anything with
love.
that. We can calculate it.
I can't physically
No, but we can
break.
calculate it with Newtonian.
No, you can't. You can't. The maths don't go into each other. You've got pseudo-Riemannian force space. And what's the other one? There's a recent one. Mick-Westian 2 space. Does that divide into breadth and time also? Maybe Mick-Westian.
Yeah, the maths reduces down, Nathan. It's all the same maths.
No, you can't reduce. There is no space-time in Euclidean mathematics. It just isn't in there. It's an extra dimension. Right, this is absurd. Right, I'm getting annoyed. What is this absurd nonsense?
But Nathan, we can calculate it. Gravity.
What?
Nathan.
What's gravity?
We
You
can
still haven't
calculate
told me. I've told you what I understand it to be based on the current bullshit of Einstein and its bending conceptual mediums. You haven't told me what you think it is. You said we like using out-of-date 100 years old pseudoscience.
It's a force.
So
Nathan.
what?
It's not quite a force, but it's
Now
not
we're going round in
quite a force.
circles.
But it's a force that we see.
No, it isn't. We were going around in circles. So no, it's not a force. It's the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time.
Yeah, but Nathan, we see the effects of it. It's almost like a force.
Show me.
Well, I can drop my microphone. Duh.
No, that's disequilibrium being caused by you picking it up in the first place, and then equilibrium being reattained when you drop it.
So why is it not going in any other direction, Nathan? Why is it always down to the center of the Earth?
It wasn't until you picked it up. It wasn't doing anything until you got involved and forced it out of equilibrium. Then once in disequilibrium, you let it go and it returned from whence it came. So had you not have got involved,
the direction, Nathan.
It wouldn't be going anywhere.
The direction, Nathan. Why is it to the center of the Earth?
It isn't. I've just said this. It's not moving a smegging inch. I'm looking at a microphone and it literally isn't moving anywhere. Oh, what's that? If I pick it up, what about if I force it underwater and it comes back up again? Who cares? I had to get involved to do that.
Why is it always to the center of the Earth, Nathan?
What if I force the mic underwater? It's not going to. It's going to be based on its physical... Why are we having this conversation? You haven't defined gravity yet. This isn't gravity.
I heard an R in there.
Disequilibrium.
It's a force that I want to believe is a force because I can calculate it.
I don't care. You believe there's a force. You haven't defined what this gravity is. I've given you an explanation for what the current bullshit is, but that doesn't give you a force. Now you're talking about relative density disequilibrium being attained from picking a mic up. So it's nonsense. Can we draw close to this? This is tiring. I don't know why you like this subject.
I'm just bored.
I'm being tired out for your amusement. Wonderful.
Baller, just be aware, guys, that ballers can't use the G word. The minute they say gravity and you ask them to define it and they don't give you the definition from Einstein and you tell them, and if they do give you the Einstein one, they always miss out the word effect. And when you put that back in there, it kills the conversations. Like there and then it stops, because gravity, if it's an effect, which is what we perceive, then it ain't causing anything, is it? It's the consequence of something. Something else is doing something. It could be pressure, it could be temperature, it could be a variety of things doing something, but it's not a force because it's the effect. And the conversation stops. But they don't like that word effect. It's like Brenda when she cherry-picked the bit that she wanted to leave out. They always leave out that word effect out of the current definition for Einsteinian gravity, and or completely ignore it completely because it doesn't support their narrative.
Any evidence of the R value?
The same R value that's gotten destroyed by the Black Swan? No.
Guys, what they do, it's not cherry picking. Then you're actually taking some example. It's really quote mining because they took the literal good source and took it and cut out to make it mean something else. That's really quote mining, not cherry picking. Anyway.
I hate to disagree with you. Wouldn't that just be a citation? As long as you haven't taken it completely out of context, i.e. taken the tail end of one conversation or one sentence and strapped it onto the other to recontextualize it. If you don't do that, it's just a citation, right?
Yeah, but if you take certain words out of that citation that is absolutely critical, then you're editing, as it were, the quote. That's kind of quote mining, right? Because cherry picking is just taking a specific example of something that is kind of the exception and then claiming that it is the thing. But that's not taking it out of context. It's just moving the statistics around, as it were, to take that out of, to dislocate that. But this is all very technical. I just thought it seemed like quote mining in plain sight and not really cherry
quote
picking.
mining, to give you an example, would be, let's just make up a statement, something like, pesticides have caused huge amount of damage to crops. However, currently the organic nature of farming in Britain means there is no effect. Should pesticides be used in future, the crops will definitely die. And then you take out the bit in the middle where it says currently the organic farming means there isn't any danger, and you just put ... and then ... and only had the bit where pesticides have caused huge amounts of damage. If they're used in future, we're going to lose all our crops. That would be quote mining.
Right. Because you take the original thing out of context on purpose by leaving things out.
Sure, you
and
can
that's
also
what
just...
Brenda seemed to do.
Quote mining is
Left
a
the
form
first
of
word
cherry
out.
picking.
Say again?
Quote mining is a form of cherry picking. So
Right.
You're arguing there's no argument here.
Fair enough. But there's also misquoting, which is just literally changing what it says. You know, the people do that to me all the time. It enrages me, if I'm honest. They just either make up a completely new quote that I've literally never said, or they slightly change one or two words, put quotes around it, write your name after it, and you just want to punch them.
Yeah, Mr. Wiggles or something like that got busted.
There's a few of them. They'll they'll read out a definition and then keep going with their own interpretation after the citation finishes, but they won't put it on screen. And Anthony caught that out once. I can't remember who it was with, but it was just classic. He just, by pure coincidence, happened to have the definition on screen when the person was reading it, and then when he carried on speaking after the end of the paragraph, Anthony's like, "That isn't what it says," and the guy suddenly shits his
that
pants.
was Mr. Wiggles.
Was that Mr. Wiggles?
It was Jimmy, wasn't it?
No, that was
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
It was Jimmy. The guy who came on with a voice changer.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, I just happened to have it on screen. He was talking about the astronomical using it was. I think it was something to do with the radar distance to the sun, and then he added on the line, "That's how they measure the distance to the planets," or words similar. And I was like, "What did it say? That's not what it said. Read that again." And he was like, "What?" He read it again, and I said, "Nathan, he added a bit on there," and you were like, "What's going on here?" I happened to have it on screen, and he wasn't expecting it, and he literally added his own sentence on the end to it to support his argument.
Yeah,
He's
you
never
pretty much
been back.
nailed the sentence too. He said, and that's how they did blah blah blah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, adding your own separate conclusion. I love it. Totally called on it as well. You just got to ask yourself, how many times has that happened in the past? Because I'll be honest, I'm fairly lax. When QE's not here, QE's like, let's get it on screen immediately. You know, there's no pissing about. It's let's get it on screen. Let's read it off together. And half the time, they haven't got anything in front of them. They can't even go and get it. You know, they've just literally made it up on the spot.
Sometimes when they are reading from citation that they can put on screen, look where it comes from as well. Often it's from places like Forbes or Quora, which is obviously people like the Rumpus and M. Scott Veach. Let's remember, M. Scott Veach wrote for Forbes or Quora, one or the other, in an article from some magazine where he was describing how we can have gas pressure without a container. Oddly, M. Scott Veach has actually got an article on there describing how we do that, and obviously his answer is gravity. Idiot.
Yeah, he's the reason why the people who've got these basic disclosures to the fact that it's a model, it's a thought experiment, all these sorts of words, have also simultaneously got people like M. Scott Veach just basically lying to your face, telling you that gravity does something it does not do, claiming the curvature of space-time
At least not.
can hold gas pressure without a container, defying the second law of thermodynamics. I mean, he's literally lying in your face, either through stupidity or ignorance, or a necessity to lie about a model that other people are simultaneously telling you is a thought experiment. So he's the one that's essentially poisoning the well of all the people who are out there under the impression that gravity does these things, when even their own Einsteinian declarations make it clear it doesn't. But M. Scott Veach will lie to you on the internet through Forbes or whatever the hell it is, because that's what they do. They lie. He's a liar. I've made that claim, made it plain to his face. I've said it to him directly. Now he says, I don't want any horrible treatment, should I come on? He was a liar, M. Scott Veach. His father was a liar, claimed to be in a sky vacuum, a medium that doesn't exist. That's why he's defending the sky vacuum that doesn't exist and violates natural law, because they've all been lying about it. Now, of all the people in this deception, the people who have directly lied to you are the ones who've claimed to go to Narnia. The ones who've claimed to be in space are literally lying to your face. M. Scott Veach, his father was one of them. He's now lying to you about what gravity can do. If you do a little search, how can you have gas pressure without a container, you come across his Quora or whatever it is article, it'll lie to you about what gravity does. Doesn't do what he says in that article. I've read it. It's complete nonsense that he's just made up. He's got it published though, and people will read it and think he's some sort of authority because Daddy went to space, and Daddy also lies about places that don't exist, that he can claim to travel to, and presumably ultimately lie to his son about, and lie to the entire world about. But those are the people who have definitely lied to you. We don't have a sky vacuum. If we did, the gas we breathe would fill that space. It's a violation of natural law to claim that the sky is a vacuum. It isn't. And there's no force holding gas in defiance of the second law of thermodynamics. Any assertion that you've got pictures or a place you can travel to, as these astronauts do, is a lie. They are lying to you. Those are the people I would go to and say, yeah, you have lied.
Just to push it one stage further, let's not forget what happened with the articles that I often cite with regards to the effects of refraction being negligible. It's only when the atmospheric conditions are crazy and obvious that something else is going on, are the effects of refraction then categorized. It says ordinarily when there's no superior mirage or fata morgana or inferior mirage or whatever, when the atmosphere is not doing anything like out of this world, then the effects of refraction are negligible from numerous citation. And M. Scott Veitch didn't like it. So I challenged him, if he didn't like it, to put in a complaint, see if he could get them removed. And then to my absolute shock and surprise, the next day one of them was gone, and the second day, or the day after, there was the second one of three that were now gone. So for whatever reason, and this is not coincidence before you start questioning it, for whatever reason, they took them down. And it can only have been because we flat earthers were using them against the current narrative because it didn't support the official narrative. So they were removed, and M. Scott Veitch was the one that did it. So not only is he overtly lying to you about gravity, he will physically change the narrative where possible. I don't know how he's got that skill to do it, but he's got the ability to do it, and I don't know how. But that should tell you a lot of things when they're getting documents removed offline, when they're not being used to support the official narrative. That's called lying, guys. Lying.
Yeah, but ultimately it won't be the people that are really lying, the ones that put the disclaimers in regards to thought experiments and models and reifications thereof. It won't be them, it'll be the general grunts, like M. Scott Veitch, who you can literally look in the eye and say, you have lied to me. It's not very difficult because it's obvious that they have. And we're getting a string of it at the moment. Yeah, I don't know if you've been around to see it, Anthony. We've had one after the next come in and lie, starting with the rumpus. Came in, told outright lies about what he'd claimed in the past, then lied about geometric necessities, followed by a geometric impossibility, followed by a geometric necessity, flip-flopping like you would not believe, lying through his back teeth about what he'd claimed in the past. Then we had Brenda doing the exact same thing. We had Bob the fallacy guy in my comments on the second channel. Subscribe today, by the way. About 60 subscribers short of 5,000 on the second channel. So if you're not already subscribed, there's a link in the info box. Go and check it out. Might even go dig our link to spam the live chat with us. There's about 300 people watching.
Yeah, watch out for when they debunk strawman fallacy arguments. They'll debunk a point that wasn't made and claim debunking. All the idiots will just go, yeah, and they'll fist pump the sky like when NASA send a rocket up and they all start cheering hysterically as though they've just scored a goal. That seems to be what all the trolls do, all the idiots in chat. So Bob the fallacy guy will make a claim that he's debunked Nathan on a point, misrepresent the point that Nathan's made, and claim the debunk on that. And all of his subbers will go, yeah, Bob, you're such a science guy. And we're like, you're just overtly lying. And it's not even worth to. But they do it all the time. It's like, why can't you just address the point?
Well, the first thing that Bob did was agree. Well, at least in that little snippet, was agree with Nathan that the horizon is the physical edge of the sphere. He confirmed that. Now, I'm sure he's mad because they don't have that, but they confirmed that that's what that's supposed to be, the physical edge of your sphere. Which is funny because so many others are mad because they don't even like the use of the word edge. But here you go, Bob the fallacy guy saying clearly, oh, well, that's the edge of the sphere. Yeah. So again, you guys need to get on the same page.
Quick shout out to Emma UK.
Hey, Chocolate, what do you think would happen if we made a claim that we couldn't substantiate with any evidence, but we demanded that they accept that it would be there just because on our model it has to be there? Do you think that they would allow?
They'd laugh in our faces. We wouldn't even get far as making the claim verbalised. They'd laugh before we got to the end of the sentence. Anyway, shout out to Emma UK. She says, Paul Driver is desperately trying to debate you, Nathan. Get him in here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the super chat, Emma UK.
Shout out to Emma.
I'm going to do a shout out to myself. I plug my own channel, why not? So in the show's live feed right now, there's a link to my second channel, so go and check it out. Last couple of days has been extended after shows. One was with JLB. Yesterday's was remember what we discussed yesterday. Was it evolution? I think so. Towards the end of the show, at least. But yeah, there's extended uncut and after shows currently going out on the second channel. But daily, that's where the uncut and after show goes out. So subscribe today if you haven't already. It's just called Nathan Oakley. That's the second channel.
If it's okay, I have a question for.
Shoot. Go ahead.
I was the one asking you yesterday. We kind of talked about information and kind of like how information only information, and then intelligence is necessary, or the knower has to be there, all that type of stuff. And you said something about energy cannot be created or destroyed, and I went on YouTube and I found a bunch of stuff on intelligent design, but I couldn't find anything that mentioned the second law of thermodynamics violation. So I was wondering if you could kind of articulate that.
That's
like,
really
First law.
convoluted.
First law.
Matter or energy can't be created or destroyed is the first law of thermodynamics. What does that have to do with define information?
I don't know if I can define it. I have like a brief idea of it.
Information is the communication or reception of knowledge or intelligence. It is neither matter nor energy. Like I said yesterday, it's semiotic.
Right. I thought you mentioned it's not the second law, as you just said, but it's the first law. You mentioned something about, maybe it had something to do with DNA, but it was about energy cannot be created or destroyed in terms of, I think it was in terms of like maybe how things evolve, but you did mention it.
No, can I try?
I don't know what you got to put.
I can try and dilute it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I do. You've got an answer to the ontological primitives in the form of the first law of thermodynamics. If everything was created out of nothing, including information, then you have a first law of thermodynamics violation. So then you get down to information, which is not physical in any way, shape, or form. You would require a transmission or a reception. Now, to have a transmission or a reception, you need a receiver in that context, otherwise known as a knower, when we were talking about it yesterday. So to have knowledge or knowing, you've got to have a knower first. It's the first requirement. It's the antecedent for the consequent of information. So to talk about the first law of thermodynamics is to answer one of two questions. Did everything come from nature, or was it bore out of intelligent design? Well, it's not bore out of nature. That's a violation of the first law. Nature can't create or destroy its own energy. So you're left with only one choice in that regard. But when it comes to qualification of information itself, when in a debate about evolution, you then have a major problem when you try and create information. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah, that definitely elucidates it. That makes sense. So, okay, so energy, matter and energy can't be created or destroyed, correct?
It can only change form. That's the first law of thermodynamics. That has nothing to do with information, though, because information is neither matter nor energy.
Okay. So if energy and matter can't be created or destroyed, that means that nature could not have created it, but something outside of nature.
No. The first law of thermodynamics is a natural law. So it's better said, nature can't create or destroy matter or energy. It can only change form. Follow?
Right. Yeah, so something outside of those natural laws created this?
Must have. You only got two. You only have two choices. You only have two ontological primitives, right? You have intelligent agency, a conscious mind versus nature, right?
Right.
So if you use a disjunctive syllogism, and if you can rule out one, then the other must therefore be true. So we can rule out nature quite easily with the first law of thermodynamics. Therefore, the other must be true.
And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the second channel, subscribe today, Nathan Oakley. Then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making this live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley premiering stream. I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Is that Anthony? Thank you for elucidating that, Quantum.
Yeah, you need both statements.
Well, see, that's the thing. What you just said is missing, is largely missing from basically the. And I haven't found anyone, creationism or intelligent design people, that talk about that specific part, that nature cannot create or destroy something. So, in order for new information to enter any part of the sequence of the life process, it would have to be from an intelligence outside of the natural laws.
Yeah, I think you're convoluting information with matter and energy is one of the problems.
Oh, okay. How am I doing that? Am I just being too vague, or am I misrepresenting information?
No, I don't think you're misrepresenting it. I think you're bringing it in when it shouldn't come in. Just it's a separate topic, because nature can't create or destroy matter or energy, right? Well, information is neither matter nor energy, so it's sort of outside the topic we're discussing. Information's a completely different topic.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. But I mean, that does play into the topic of intelligent design and also the origins of life.
What does?
The part about energy and matter can't be created or destroyed.
Yes.
So bring that up.
Well, they're ignorant.
Yeah, I've seen.
I lost you.
You're breaking up.
I think he's getting moved to the after show.
If he wants to drop and rejoin, because it's obviously caused a bit of an issue. Can you hear us, Sam? Can you try again?
Yeah, I'm here. It just randomly cut out. But anyways, there's a lot of stuff about the part about information, but there's not anything about the other part, which, in my opinion, kind of completes the concept.
Well, you need the two ontological primitives. That should be the start of the argument. If you go about it that way, then it's easy, because there is only two possible, how would I say, entities that are responsible for how we and the universe, what we call the universe, are here. It's either nature or a conscious mind or intelligent agency. That's the start of the argument. That's a period, hard stop. Then you go to the laws of, you can go a number of directions. I go 4 different directions, but one of those directions is the laws of thermodynamics. So if it talks about one of the choices, nature, right? Natural law, the first law of thermodynamics. Well, nature cannot create or destroy matter or energy. Well, we know we're created by the second law in combination with the first law. So if you use a disjunctive syllogism that states that it's more of a rule out type of syllogism, right? If you have two choices if you have only two choices and one is completely ruled out, the other one therefore must be true, right? So the first law rules out nature. So there you go. All you're left with is a creator. How about that?
Right. That makes sense. But also, isn't it true that does nature, would it be correct to say nature, but nature does create information, or is that not true?
No, nature. You have to go back to the definition of nature: the communication or reception of knowledge and intelligence. Is nature sentient and intelligent, or inanimate?
I don't know. I don't think I could say.
You don't know? You think nature's sentient and intelligent, or is nature inanimate?
I know chemicals are inanimate. Do you mean nature is in the natural world?
Yes, the entire natural world.
I'm not sure.
It's inanimate. The opposite of sentient and intelligent. It doesn't think. It doesn't have a conscious mind.
Okay, would you say, are we the only ones that have a conscious mind?
Why are we going down this trail? What's your question?
Well, supposedly certain types of animals have a type of intelligence. What'd you say?
Where are you going with this?
I'm just saying.
I think animals do have a conscious mind.
Who cares? Where are you going with this?
Yeah, who cares? Yeah,
are animals not a part of nature? I'm not sure if they do or not.
Not really.
I don't
How
know
are they
enough about it.
disproving the first law of thermodynamics, please?
Well, they're not. I'm just saying, because you said nature is inanimate, and I can definitely see why you would say that. I'm just not completely sure. Now I see what you're saying. It doesn't really have to do with that. That doesn't even have to do with
the substrates of the natural world, not life. Take life out of it because life contains information. Is information natural?
No, supernatural.
Exactly. There you go. There's the answer to your question.
Okay. So is nature? Are you saying nature separate from?
I didn't catch that.
Did you say nature? You made a distinction between life and inanimate. Okay. I see what you're getting at. So life is a part of nature, but nature isn't life. Is that what you're saying?
He said life contains information, so you can take it out of nature.
I understand, but I'm trying to understand the distinction.
The distinction between what?
Life and nature. Were you making that distinction?
Life and nature. We are made of natural substances. The information, though, is supernatural.
Got you. Okay.
So it goes back to yesterday when I said the medium of conveyance. Remember I said Cheerios, nuts and bolts, smoke signals can transmit. It's the medium that mediates information. It is not the information itself.
I got you. I understand that part now.
I might have to run that information presentation.
Perfect, but can you say about ink, paper,
cool.
and glue molecules just to round it out for the audience? Quantum eraser, please.
Say that again, Nathan. I didn't catch you.
Summary is using an analogy with ink, paper, and glue molecules.
Yes, ink, paper, and glue molecules are analogous to ribose nucleobases and activated phosphates, and the technical instruction manuals are DNA. So what I'm trying to basically put across is the ink, paper, and glue molecules don't write the books. They're just the medium of conveyance of the information. In other words,
Yeah,
you need an intelligent agent to write the books.
I got that. But my understanding,
I'll be back in a few minutes.
I think my understanding, I'm just going to have to look into it a little more, but that definitely answered my question, because I had heard something about one of the laws of thermodynamics, and I was like, what does that have to do with this? Blah, blah, blah. That was very concise. So I appreciated both of you, Nathan and QE.
Sure, it started off convoluted. I tried to bring it back on track. It's an answer to the ontological primitive is the answer to that. And if you're looking in the realms of DNA or wherever you were researching, whatever you were researching, you're not going to find necessarily them stating the first law of thermodynamics in there. Why would you? But it's an answer to the ontological primitive, so hopefully that's been clarified. Why you say it has been clarified.
I feel like people don't bring it up because don't people aren't anytime someone brings up laws of thermodynamics, they're like, yeah, but it's like in an isolated system, or they like bring up something else to try and like, to try and like bring it off track.
Yes, because that's when you're stating the winning position. Yes, that's right. They obfuscate onto declaring that laws of nature don't apply to nature. Yeah, they come up with some crap, in other words. Yes, that's correct. That normally happens when you win.
But thank you for that. That was good, because I'm just getting introduced to the whole intelligent design thing, and I've watched a bunch of Stephen Myers stuff and some other people, and I was like, okay, this makes freaking sense, and it's the whole thing for me, because I was like, because before it's like, okay, well, I feel like that doesn't address the whole origin part, so I'm glad that was elucidated.
Have you seen QE's presentation on information?
No, I haven't. If someone wants to post it, that would be great. I'd love to watch it.
If you just go to the YouTube, this show premiering on YouTube, it should be at the bottom of the info box.
Okay, someone posted it. Oblivion.
Are we in between shows?
There's no second show now.
Hey, Nathan, I like what you just said about summarizing when you have the winning position, they all of a sudden want to change the laws of nature and they don't want to apply it to nature anymore. Can you do that with the Black Swan and geometrical horizon, please?
Well, they do exactly the same thing. They suddenly want to deny the physicality and geometry of their claim of us being on a sphere. The essence of their claim, if you're a globehead, your claim is that we're on a sphere with a certain physicality to it. And upon having a Black Swan argument presented to them, regardless of how fundamentally they don't even understand the argument, they appreciate that they've got to deny the physicality and geometry of their model to rebut the argument. In other words, they suddenly deny the physicality of their own model as a rebuttal. It's the best argument ever. Every single challenge to the argument is in essence a concession from their side. So what's that? You don't argue for a physical sphere of certain geometry. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Yeah, because let's not forget too, all of modern cosmology is backed up and reified into that sphere.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get out earlier when I said it's just trench talk. When they start talking about their refracted horizon, contradiction in terms. Nevertheless, they're in essence burning their own religion. They don't know it because they don't know the argument. If they appreciated the argument, they wouldn't be hanging themselves left, right, and centre. But literally, they're all like kamikazes. Hey, Brian.
Yeah, it's like they're doing a backburn and it backfires on them.
Yeah, if they only understood the argument, they'd know to keep their mouth shut. But because they don't understand the argument, they come barging in telling us the argument's stupid, like Tim Osmond did. And then very quickly, when you present them with the Black Swan and say, this is where your argument's debunked, they go, no, refraction. And you go, oh, so non-geometric. Game over. But they walk straight into the bear trap every time.
Hey everybody.
What's up, Brian? I think my favorite one is hearing that the Q is a straw man because we don't believe that every horizon distance measurement can be no more than 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. I don't remember this ever being about belief. I thought it was about geometry and math, right? The same guys who tell us math is reality all day, right? This is about math, your math of the geometrical horizon that you believe in, that you've been fighting for all this time. So when did this become about belief?
Science is right, whether you believe it or not.
Someone wrote in the chat there earlier that P does equal Q without an atmosphere.
Can someone tell me who verified that? When was that verified?
Exactly.
Or are they trying to make the geometric horizon unfalsifiable? Because how will we ever know that? Because we never not have an atmosphere. Are these people crazy?
The moon landings, man.
Get the fuck out of here.
No, that's okay. Your rebuttal to that is, oh, so everything's always apparent. All right, so that's why you use apparent sizes in your calculator, because everything's apparent always. We've always got atmosphere, everything's apparent. Well, you know what also happens? Regardless of atmosphere, and it's a far more dramatic effect, things get smaller with distance. That would mean accounting for apparent sizes. Does your calculator do that? No, it only deals in physicality and geometry, actual sizes only, dealing with the physical sphere that we think we believe we're standing on. So no, it definitely doesn't deal in apparent sizes. But apparently we need to now declare how everything's apparent. Well, that's funny. What a weird problem to have if you're a globehead. Not my problem.
Yeah, it is very weird.
Adam.
Afternoon, guys. You all right?
Hello, Adam.
Hey, Brian. All right.
What's up, chat? What's up, Adam?
Oh, old school chocolate. Like it.
Say that again?
But old school, the icon. I've seen that for a while.
I've had this for a while.
That's what I mean. I've not seen it for a while. Felt like a change.
Oh, shit. Where you been? I haven't changed it. It's been since you made it. You're the one who made it.
No, it's the different one. Don't come up, that one.
It's in the parent icon.
Yeah. Not the one I did.
Are you seeing a different icon than I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
You seen the old blue one. Just plain image.
Adam, how can we explain to globeheads that a claim of a quote-unquote redundant but quote-unquote apparent horizon is a denial of the physical geometry their religion is based on? How can I get that through to them?
It's a good one, isn't it? Because they're obfuscating to try and pretend that the apparent position is just the minor effects of refraction that is really geometric, but it technically is apparent when they want it to be. And I don't know, mate. I mean, the reality is we're arguing with people that aren't no longer trying to comprehend it. They're trying to keep the two things segregated, aren't they? As if they should be different in their world. I was listening to Playing a Walk. Again, you're right, mate. I think the reality is they just don't get the problem. Or they don't get the point that's attacking them first. So they're not responding then to anything that's relevant to us and our point. The answer is I don't know, Nate.
But you'd
You
think
know
they'd
what's
hear.
crazy is that
Go on, Charlie.
there's no. I'm sorry, Nathan. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you'd think having seen Rumpus absolutely tied up in knots over it, declaring two horizons, declaring we don't have a geometric horizon, and we do have a geometric horizon, then we don't have a geometric. You'd think they'd see that and go, something not quite right here. Or see Tim Osman coming in and going, this argument's stupid, and then having his ass handed to him in about 20 seconds flat, when he essentially denies his own religion by saying we don't have a geometric horizon, a necessity of the model. Their claim of a sphere is based on it, but they're not getting it, so they walk into these massive bear traps. So you'd think they'd see that and go, maybe I should... Go on, sorry.
We had Spurs this morning. I was just listening before Arwen's show. Spurs had somebody on, and he's just chewing them up, Nathan, spitting them out, laughing. One of them went, I've got to go. If you don't understand my position, this is my position. This is my position. And anyway, if you can't, I've got to go and watch some football. Just ran off, almost sounded like he was in tears. And, you know.
I heard that one.
But if you cry, quit, mate. That was just, it was like, really. And I say, just listening to Spurs chew people up is just great. And it's quite clear because you spot the second they go. The only thing they can do is start to twist and cheat the second you get to it. And it's so noticeable. Or do what this guy was doing, was just to make a statement that doesn't address the point as if it does. And I think that's where we're at now. They are. If Timmy can't come on and give an answer which doesn't have us rolling on the floor laughing, then I think the less trained have got no chance, have they, at the moment?
Well, that's the problem. Like you say, if you don't know what the enemy is, it's essentially a ghost. So they wander onto the battlefield and go, this is stupid, and suddenly they've got no head. And then they carry on wandering around without a head, going, yeah, this is stupid, this is. They don't even know they're dead. And then they wander into the argument without a head. And this is a stupid argument.
What's the argument? I don't know. Something about a horizon somewhere. I don't know.
They very quickly, when they couldn't use refraction, which was the first go-to, they learned fast that they couldn't go down that route because they were being asked, well, what are the 5 effects? Which effect are you claiming? Right, that didn't work for them because the only thing they could use then was looming. So then they had to change that then to refraction, back to refraction. So they couldn't use that. But they eventually had to go with, you'll never see the geometric horizon. And because they went down that route, they can't come back from it now because they forgot by saying that the amount of things that already relied on that, like boats going over it, sunrises, sunsets, all this nonsense.
Yeah, they just threw it out there too quick. Because even when we laid out the possible responses, I don't think anybody thought one of the responses was going to be, we've never seen this geometric horizon that we've been debating about for years now, and for hundreds of years we've been told boats are going over. I don't think anybody thought that we were going to hear, oh, we've never seen that. As a matter of fact, you can never see that because we have an atmosphere. So then how the hell did you verify that you could see it? Why would you have a measurement to it if you can't see it? It's useless then. That would mean the one horizon that we have is apparent, which we've been telling you for fucking years because it's the definition of horizon.
It's also total bullshit because you just take them to their model and go, see where this X is drawn on the outside edge of a sphere in Muppet Vision. Next to that X, it's got this word, horizon. That's your geometric horizon that you're saying you never see, but it's marked with an X in your model, the one that you've been defending for 5 years. So while it might be quite cute that they're saying we don't see a geometric horizon, we've got atmosphere, that in essence is a concession. We never see a geometric horizon. Well, that's the fundamental tenets of your religion in a sphere. So you don't see that? Welcome to Flat Earth. Yeah, that's right. We don't see a geometric physical sphere edge for a horizon. That's correct. I agree. What, you say you've never seen it? That's right, you've never seen the geometric edge of a sphere. That's right. Welcome to Flat Earth. So their rebuttal is a concession. That's why it's the best argument ever.
And this thing they're going on about, this impossibility, the impossibility of a refracted horizon, that is begging the question fallacy. Because not only is that an impossibility, but number one, but number two, they're already pre-assuming that there's a geometric horizon, something they cannot show. They cannot give any physicality to this supposedly physical thing.
Exactly. Goodbye, geometric horizon. It's still there, sticking out like a sore thumb in their model they think they're living on, when they reify it into the existence of a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. But they don't have one by their own admission. Ding dong, bye-bye, hello, checkmate.
I got a couple other good ones. This is pretty funny. Number one, the sextant. If you got this shape-shifting horizon, how in the world do you use a sextant, ballers? There goes all your train wreck arguments, your little navigation, which you don't know what the hell it means any damn way, and Polaris. And number two, can somebody please tell me what Al Baruni did?
Was it boats? Boats going over the edge of a sphere?
According to Ballers, he figured out the radius of the Earth. How do you do that?
Horizon dip. Horizon dip measurement.
Yeah. From the mountain, wasn't he? The guy on top of the mountain.
Well, he measured shape-shifting refracted horizon for his radius. Did he do that like over a few days or just one time? We got you by the balls, baltards. You're finished. Thanks.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. Of course, a massive thank you to all of today's Discord and G Plus panels for making this after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!